it's like
Great drivers, so make sure to get to where we need to go today. All right,
One star, one seat. Line up with the stars.
line up a star.
The return from Fernando Valley, that's where we live. You like it here?
Yeah, I can
Okay.
see it green.
I told you. You choose the best stuff. Okay? That's the valley. San Fernando Valley. That's where we live.
You're supposed to be standing on the star.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard the world-famous studio tour. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, make sure if you're traveling with small children, say their feet can't touch the ground. Now would be a great time to move them to the center of the tram for their own safety. We don't want them falling out. I also want to make sure everyone's got a pair of 3D glasses. They look like this. If you don't have a pair, raise your hand up in the air, move it back and forth. Draw attention to yourself. It's going to be embarrassing, but in the end, you will get a pair of 3D glasses, and that's worth it because you need them to experience King Kong 360 3D. Otherwise, it's 2D and blurry. Here at Universal, we are the permanent home of CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, Weeds, Parenthood, ABC's Desperate Housewives. This is also the home of our driver, Compton. Everyone wave to Compton in the front. Everyone's waving. I can see everybody. It's crazy. Without Compton, you have to walk it. It's not nearly as fun. Compton's also known. I'm going to show you on camera, Compton. You ready? Boom. That's about what you thought he'd look like, right? Compton. Compton's known for taking this tram up to 100 miles per hour, so make sure you have your seatbelts on because 100 miles per hour feels totally different on this tram. I'm kidding. There are no seatbelts, guys. And it'll go about 3 miles per hour. All right, guys, you're here at a special time at Universal. This is the 100th anniversary of Universal. Started in 1912. We got some really special stuff to show you. We also released the top 100 films of all time, many of which shot here at Universal. Let's get started. Wave your left-hand side. Put your hands up in the air. You know every single ride starts with a drop. You feel that? No, that was the drop. It was crazy. It was nuts, wasn't it? Ooh, that's a rush. All right, you're probably thinking at this point there's no way that this guy could possibly give the entire tour by himself. Well, here's the thing. I could if I wanted to, but I got a special co-host for the day. You know him from Saturday Night Live as well as Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy, say hi to these beautiful people.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guy.
Ethan!
And the greatest driver.
Compton, the driver.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Ethan and Compton combined.
owes me $5.
That's $250, Compton.
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
I think you guys are ready for some safety rules. Welcome to 45 minutes of safety rules. Rule number 1, when the tram's in motion, just remain seated. It's for your own safety. That's why we call them safety rules. If you have any emergency of any kind, whether it be a medical emergency, any audio or visual issues, if you drop something over the edge of the tram, just reach up and grab that cord running down the center of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you just as soon as it's safe to do so. So just to reiterate, if you do drop something over the edge, no matter how close it looks, only Compton and I know where the crazy stuff's going to happen. So stay in the tram, and let me tell you, crazy stuff's going to happen. We're talking about loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, water effects. Are you kidding me? Just have your cameras ready, okay? Make sure they don't get wet. We're leaving the theme park behind, taking you deep into the heart of a working studio where some of the biggest stars come to work every single day. On your right and left-hand sides are just some of the films we've done in nearly 100 years of filmmaking. If you look at the top of the movie posters, you're going to be able to trace the origin of our Universal logo. We released one for the 100th anniversary, so when you go check out the next Universal movie, you're going to see that, and you're going to be like, Ethan told me about that. And then you'll watch the movie. We're always finding new stuff here at Universal, including a clip from the 1940s that we just found in our archives. Check it out. Try to guess. What movie was this supposed to be in?
I have the room ready for you and Mrs. Barrington.
Thank you all.
Did you hear that? Mrs. Barrington.
Not quite, darling, but soon. Very, very soon. Bella.
Yes?
Have a bottle of champagne sent to the room at once. And make sure that we are not disturbed for any reason.
Wait a minute, that's co-host Jimmy Fallon. There's no way this is from the 1940s. What if I were to tell you that that was actually shot inside of a soundstage? Would you believe me, especially if you were looking at the clip? Well, it was shot in soundstage number 20. A really good example of what the inside of one looks like. Now look to your left-hand side. That's what the outside of one looks like. Soundstage number 12 is one of 35 here at Universal. Also happens to be one of the biggest in the world. Inside, we built sets like Dracula's castle. The palace from Stargate. We can do whatever we want inside of here. If you look at your screens, you're going to see an outdoor scene from Couples Retreat. That's not outdoors, guys. That is shot inside of soundstage number 12, the one we just saw. Starts with one gigantic room. Inside the room, we can build whatever set we want. Make it look like it's daytime, nighttime. We can make it look like we're anywhere else in the U.S., anywhere else in the world. Really good example of that's in soundstage number 25 on your left-hand side. And that's because 25 along with 24, 23, and 22, those are all home to CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. And that is CSI Las Vegas, shot right here in Los Angeles. On your right-hand side, the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. You better hope that Scooby's not in there helping the CSI techs out. That's going to be a weird episode. These are what we call closed sets. Only the immediate casting crew as well as invited guests are allowed inside of these sound stages. The next time you come to Universal, be sure to check out our VIP experience, where you can become one of those invited guests and might get the chance to walk on actual sets used for filming. But we move from the busiest sound stages to the oldest. On your right-hand side, man, that looks old. That's soundstage number 28, built back in 1925 to house the elaborate Paris Opera House set from Phantom of the Opera. Starring Lon Chaney, a lot of creepy characters in there taking place. Mother from Psycho, the T-Rex in the Lost World, and of course the Grinch, equally as creepy. Soundstage 27 on your left-hand side, that's where they shot some scene from the Muppets. Those aren't that creepy, but they did shoot it inside Sound 27. Now, Soundstage 27 is also the home to the TV show Weeds. They're here all the time shooting inside of there. A lot of really interesting stuff shot inside of 27, stuff that you might not have even thought think was shot indoors in general, like when that SUV's falling down the trees in Jurassic Park stand, the only kids trying to get away. Shot inside 27. Mission Control from Apollo 13 built inside 27. But you know, we don't just do movies here at Universal. We do a lot of TV shows as well. In fact, take a look at just some of the ones we've televised and produced over the years. Universal is part of a larger entity called NBC Universal, and with that comes a large variety of networks, including NBC, CNBC, MSNBC, Bravo USA, Sci-Fi, Telemundo, the Weather Channel, the Golf Channel, Oxygen Versus. Just to name a few off the top of my head. Some of my favorite shows are on those networks, including The Office and 30 Rock. Add to that list Parenthood. That's because on your right-hand side is soundstage number 44 and 44, along with 42. That's where they shoot Parenthood. That entire house set is built within these sound stages, and the reason why we build a house in a sound stage is because we can manipulate it to do whatever we want. If we're trying to shoot something and there's a wall in the way, we'll take the wall out. We can't do that, though, if you're shooting an actual house, because the whole entire structure would fall down, so it wouldn't make sense. On your left-hand side is our production bungalows. This is where directors, writers, casting directors come to work every day, to come up with those amazing ideas that will later be transformed into the movies and TV shows you love. This is also, though, where you're going to find the home of Illumination Entertainment, which brought you hits like Despicable Me and Hop. And did I mention that they have the #1 movie?
So, if there's any place where you get a real tree,
They do.
Did you chop down this tree? I think he did it.
So who invited the giant furry peanut?
You wouldn't hit a woman. That's a woman.
The Lorax in theaters now. If you haven't checked it out already, you gotta do it. It's amazing. And it combines CGI, which is computer-generated imagery, with something else we call 3D. Your whole world's in 3D. You should be familiar with it. But CGI, well, people aren't CGI in real life. We're going to show you examples of how that works a little bit later in the tour. But you know what? I think it's time to leave the front lot, head into the back lot where the world is just around the corner. You guys ready to do that? I said, you guys ready to do that? I want to hear you guys make some noise. Because we can make a one big circle and head right back to Alright guys, this is where we shoot the big stuff. Exterior shots on a very large scale. But you might recall we had a fire back in June 1st, 2008 that knocked out 4 acres of our historic backlot. We knew we'd have to rebuild right away, so we did just that. And what you see on the screen is not even sped up. Okay, it's sped up, it's a time lapse, but in our defense, we built quickly. We're excited to be bringing you by our new and improved backlot locations as well as the historic ones. And on your right-hand side, this is one of the most commonly shot areas here at Universal. We call it Brownstone Street, and it might look familiar to you because it's been seen in just about everything. That's Elvis walking on those streets to the right-hand side. I'm going to pause right there. You're going to see Jim Carrey walking down the steps from Bruce Almighty, but you're going to notice there's a speed limit sign. There are trees. Where is all that? Well, we purposely leave these sets very plain. That allows production to come in and make it their own. If we were to leave those speed limit signs there in the trees, well, if production came in and says, hey, guess what? This takes place after the world's ended. I don't think people are going to be driving 35 miles per hour. So they can come in and tear everything out. In fact, those light posts, those are temporary as well. You can remove those. And once again, the reason for that, if you're trying to get a shot and the light post is in the way, just take it out. But you got to make sure you make it look like what it looked like when you showed up. Otherwise, the next production can't do the same thing, so we do exactly that. Just leave it very plain. Allow them to go to work on it. Now, all these buildings that you see, it's actually interesting. They might look real to you, and they are real. However, they're what we call facades. It's when we build the fronts and sides of a building, it's only what the camera's going to see, and we let your imagination fill in the rest. So when you look at these buildings, you're filling them with rooms, but I'm here to tell you there are no rooms in it. If you were to walk up to these buildings and knock on them, they are completely hollow, and that's because the materials that you're looking at aren't the materials that you think they are. This area we call Courthouse Square, a really good example of that facade on your left-hand side. You might know it. Hill Valley from Back to the Future. That is the original clock tower on the left-hand side. There's nothing in there, though. Just a bunch of walls. Well, let me tell you why it looks different. We've taken the clock down, put it in our property department for safekeeping. You're also going to notice that there's a city hall and brick in front of it. Well, the brick is actually fiberglass. We print it out in large sheets. It's three-dimensional on one side, 2D on the other, so we can print it out in very large sheets and install it very quickly. But if you look at your screens, there's a pond. In Back to the Future Part 2, that was a parking lot. In Back to the Future Part 1, let's put this all together. Why is there a gazebo in the middle? Why is there bricks in front of the original clock tower? Well, we reuse sets all the time, guys. This is the fictitious town of Grandview from the TV show Ghost Whisperer, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. What appears to be cement is just plaster. The name of the game here in Hollywood, make it and make it cheap. Just like that, we're in New York. How did that happen? How did that happen? You drove fast? I'll give you that. I think we're going about 1 mile per hour. But welcome to New York Street. This is part of our Metropolitan sets. My co-host Jimmy Fallon knows a lot about shooting in New York. That's where he does shoot Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. So let's bring him in via satellite, find out a little bit more about shooting in New York. Jimmy, you there?
Hey everyone, welcome to New York! I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Always got mugged over there by an old woman. Tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy. How's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey! I'm walking here! Hey, cool, guys. Just, just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro set. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
Movies, TV shows, commercials, music videos, you name it, all took place here in our Metropolitan set. Seen from Amazing Spider-Man, Transformers, Captain America, the First Avenger, shot right here. NCIS, which is Thursdays on CBS, shot some scenes here. Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, shot music videos here. How about that Call of Duty franchise? They shot those commercials where everything's destroyed right here on the Metropolitan set. They are used all the time. But one thing you're going to notice is there are a lot of theater marquees on the street. Well, we can't possibly fit a theater inside of these buildings, so let me tell you how this works. We're going to film an actor walking into one of these theater marquees. The reason why we have so many is because they represent different eras. But what we're actually doing is we're going to go on location or to a soundstage, depending on how big of a room that we need to make. But if you're trying to make a theater, we're going to go to an actual theater, film the scene that we need, come here at Universal, have the actor walk into the theater marquee, combine those two shots together. When you do that, it makes it look like they walked straight into the building when actually this is what happened. They shot on 2 different days, 2 completely different locations, put it back to back. It's all based on illusions. It's a lot cheaper too. Did we mention that? That's always the name of the game here in Hollywood. Now, when we rebuilt these sets, we were supervised by none other than Academy Award-winning director Mr. Steven Spielberg. He helped out in redesigning these sets after the fire. We made them taller. That way they look a little bit more like the buildings that you would see in New York. But it doesn't have to be New York. In fact, this Metropolitan set series of buildings that we have has actually been London. Believe it or not, we can make it look like London, and it's easier than you think. First of all, hang up the British flag. They love it. Bring in some cars that you would see over across the pond. Have them drive on the opposite side of the road. That's exactly what they did for Austin Powers. Shot some scenes here on our Metropolitan set. Really, really easy. Now, the thing is, what would be very difficult to do is get those aerial shots of, say, the London Eye and Parliament. So what we do is we can bring a film crew over there. We can shoot those aerial shots, combine it with what we shot here at Universal, and this is how it works. Check out the aerial shot. That is not at Universal. That is London. We can take it anywhere we want. These Metropolitan sets can double as just about actually places that don't even exist, and it's all part of the job of the art director. The art director, a very, very, very important position. They can take you prehistoric bedrock, they can take you to the future. They just find out where we need to go, they get to work. do when they do it right, and oftentimes they do. They also brought you to a place called Skull Island in King Kong. We've been fortunate enough to work with Academy Award-winning director Mr. Peter Jackson here as well.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses on. Don't put them on yet, just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island. In a sense, this is like a little sequel. A mini continuation. We're just taking the Kong and Skull Island and the dinosaurs that we established
in King Kong
film. And this is, another day, another incident on Skull Island, using the creatures and the character and personality of Kong as he appeared in the movie. The Universal Tram is winding its way through a very rough, narrow trail in Skull Island, allowing the visitors a little sneak peek at some of the wildlife of Skull Island.
All right, let's see a show of hands. Raise your hand up in the air if you've never experienced King Kong 360 3D. Oh, that's what I'd like to see. Well, the wait's over, guys. Make sure you grab all your loose belongings. We don't want them falling out of the tram. Welcome to Skull Island.
Let's keep on. Good zero. Oh my God.
Okay, glasses on, everybody. We're back in Skull Island.
Ooh.
Oh man, the bird!
Who is that?
That's a green man!
Oh my God!
King Kong 360 3D, the most intense 3D experience on the planet. What'd you guys think? Not bad, huh? Those screens you saw were 40 feet tall, 180 feet wide. essentially 16 movie screens put together, utilizing 16 projectors at the same time. It's pretty cool. We got another standalone ride that's coming out just around the corner. I think you may have heard of it, and if you haven't, this is going to be pretty amazing for you. Now you know.
Oh, Transformers! When is it? Coming May, right?
Yeah.
I bet it's gonna be a long line, Kuya.
Transformers, the ride. Like a dismay.
That's right. Transformers The Ride 3D is coming out just around the corner, so be sure to head back to Universal and check that out. It is going to be incredible. Now, in the Transformers film, well, the big robots were always transforming into vehicles. And when they transformed into vehicles, they became what we call picture cars. A picture car is simply any vehicle that appears on screen. It's as simple as that. But some of these picture cars have become just as famous as the actors who have driven them. And if you don't believe me, better hope that we have some of those famous picture cars here at Universal. And of course we do. We're going to be heading into our transportation department. We're going to show off some of those famous picture cars. In the meantime, you guys are all looking down there anyway. That's where we keep our chain link fences and our plants. Got to keep it somewhere. And that transportation department is just up ahead on our left. We start off with one of the cars from the Fast and the Furious franchise, followed by the Duesenberg from The Mummy Returns. That started off as a Ford pickup truck, just modified it a little bit. The Deathmobile from Animal House. Now that red Ferrari from Magnum PI is not a Ferrari at all. It's actually a dune buggy with a Volkswagen engine and a fiberglass Ferrari exterior. But you can't talk about picture cars without talking about one of the most famous of all time, the DeLorean from Back to the Future. That's one of just over a dozen DeLoreans they used in the film. You might recall it had to get up to 88 miles per hour in order to go to the past or the future, depending on where they were looking to go. But folks who come out with cars that go a lot faster than that.
What? It's a title.
What?
It's a title.
Cut to the end. Cut to the end. I remember that car.
Now, the Fast and the Furious franchise combined CGI, which is computer-generated imagery, with something we call motion control technology. Now, motion control technology is not a word you're going to hear often. Let me explain how it works. One of the vehicles we just passed was the Muse from Serenity. That's a flying vehicle. Well, how do we make it fly? We put a gimbal underneath it. We will wrap that in green screen, and then in post-production, we can remove that gimbal, and that's how you do it. But it doesn't really make sense when I say it. How about we show you? Let's do it. We're going to head into a special effects stage number 55. We have a decked out Tokyo style after the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, and we got a little demonstration set up to show you exactly how motion control technology works. We don't want you having to go home and Google it when we can show you here at Universal. So as we enter the sound stage, the special effects stage on your left-hand side, you have a couple of those picture cards. But I'm going to hand things over to our special effects director, and he's going to get us started with the demonstration. So, we are ready when you are.
Clear on the set. Let's see the bullet hits. And go. Smoke. Go. Fire. Go. Okay, we're clear for a full run-through. All systems checked. This one's for real, guys, so watch out. And action.
Folks, say hello to our picture cars, Carnage and Karma. Take a bow, guys. You deserve it. You got any of the moves you want to show us while we have all these cameras?